Well, on top of the violence in Iraq, the country is also dealing with political unrest, which Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi says it's making it harder for its fight against Daesh. Now, for more on that, we can go to Arlington in the US state of Virginia, and that's where military analyst Mark Perry joins us live. Mr. Perry, good to speak to you this evening. So do you think that al-Abadi will manage to break through the political deadlock and bring in these badly needed reforms?
Well, I think it's going to be very difficult for him to do so. He appointed a cabinet of technocrats, but it doesn't seem to have taken hold. He's losing support in the parliament. Yesterday, we saw forces backed by Muqtada al-Sadr inhabit and take over, occupy the Green Zone. So it's a very unstable situation. Seems to be marginally better today, but this is a very deep and long-lasting political crisis that's exacerbated by corruption and the worsening military situation.
Absolutely.
It's going to be very difficult for the Prime Minister to get hold of this situation.
Mr. Perry, you call them forces, but from the pictures we've seen and what happened yesterday, it seems largely peaceful. What do you make of that kind of activism that's obviously taking place in Baghdad at the moment in terms of trying to get political reform?
Well, it's good that it's been peaceful, but there really isn't any doubt that when your government offices are taken over by protesters, this is a reflection on your hold on political power. And Mr. Abadi's hold is very tentative. He's tried to really put in place reforms, but it's been difficult. Behind it all, I think there's a real competition here between the former Prime Minister Mr. Nouri al-Maliki and Muqtada al-Sadr, and that is being played out behind the scenes. We'll have to see how that competition turns out. It's not clear who's going to win the competition.
Of course, and Mr. Perry, the fingerprints of the United States are all over that competition. How much does the US have to answer for what's happening in Iraq currently politically?
I think the United States has a great deal of responsibility for what's happening in Iraq. From the moment that our troops set foot in the country to overthrow Mr. Saddam Hussein to the present time. But the problem is that we have now very little leverage in the country. There is no appetite in the United States for deploying more troops, and it's not clear to me that more troops would really help. We really have to leave this up to the Iraqis, uncomfortable as it may be for some Americans. Our time there is over. We spent an enormous amount of money and did a great deal of damage. This was a big mistake.
And just finally, Mr. Perry, how can we leave it up to the Iraqis when the fight against Daesh is really a global fight? And how will the political unrest in Iraq affect that conflict?
I don't think there's any, I don't have any doubt that Daesh will be defeated. The problem is that after Daesh is defeated, you're going to have Daesh 2.0 or 3.0. This is a continuing, deep, regional, generational problem. We're in the middle of successive revolutions and civil wars all across the region. Sadly, it's not going to end anytime soon. We've deployed another 200 troops yesterday and the day before to bring our troop levels in Iraq to 4,000. That's hardly enough, but for many Americans, it's too many. This is going to go on a long time. And it's going to be very difficult, very painful for the people of Iraq. But really, we've made it clear their future is up to them.
Well, unfortunately, we have to leave it there. Mark Perry, thanks for joining us from Virginia there. Thank you.